In the gentle silence of early morning, when the world is still and the mind is clear, we may begin to notice how many times we have said, yes, when our heart quietly whispered no. We live in a world that praises self-sacrifice and obliging behavior, teaching us from a young age that saying, yes, makes us kind, loving, and compassionate. We often believe that our worth is measured by how much we do for others and how many burdens we carry on our shoulders. Yet, Buddhism gently reminds us that true kindness begins not in endless compliance but in inner honesty and mindful awareness of our own limits. In the Buddha's teachings, compassion is not about pleasing everyone or constantly putting ourselves last. It is about deeply understanding our own mind, recognizing our own needs, and walking the middle path of balance and wisdom. When we abandon ourselves to the constant demands of the world, we lose the precious connection to our own heart and spirit. This video invites you to explore why constantly saying yes might be quietly stealing your peace of mind, draining your energy, and clouding your inner joy. We will reflect on how gentle detachment can actually strengthen our bonds rather than weaken them, why setting clear and compassionate boundaries is an act of love towards ourselves and others, and how learning to be alone can reveal a deeper well of clarity and authentic happiness within us. Together, we will draw from the timeless wisdom of the Buddha, the compassionate teachings of the Dalai Lama, and the poetic simplicity of Lao Tzu to guide us on this journey of self-discovery and liberation. If you have ever felt exhausted from endless obligations or struggled to say no without carrying guilt in your heart, this gentle journey is for you. Let us walk this path of mindfulness together and discover the profound freedom and serenity that arise when we align our words and actions with the quiet truth of our own heart. May this reflection bring you inner peace, emotional clarity, spiritual growth, and a deeper sense of genuine happiness and self-respect. Let us begin our reflection today by gently exploring the first insight, how gentle detachment can actually strengthen relationships, rather than weaken them. In Buddhist wisdom, detachment is often misunderstood as coldness or indifference, but in truth, it is a compassionate and mindful way of relating to others without losing ourselves. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering, and when we cling to people, emotions, or expectations, we not only create suffering for ourselves but also for those we love. Gentle detachment invites us to hold space for others while remaining rooted in our own peace, allowing love to flow freely without conditions or demands. Instead of grasping tightly or trying to control the behavior of our loved ones, we learn to appreciate them as they are, giving them the freedom to grow and change without the weight of our expectations. In this way, detachment is not a barrier to intimacy but a gateway to deeper, more authentic connections based on respect and understanding. When we stop trying to fix, save, or mold others, we create an environment where trust and acceptance can blossom. Gentle detachment empowers us to support without sacrificing our own well-being, to listen without absorbing, and to love without conditions. The Buddha reminds us, you yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way. This beautiful teaching emphasizes that each being is responsible for their own journey, and we can offer compassion and guidance without taking on the burden of their path. When we let go of the need to control, we free ourselves from resentment and disappointment, and we create space for genuine joy and mutual growth. This practice allows us to witness the beauty of each moment, to celebrate the small joys and accept the inevitable changes of life without fear or grasping. In daily life, gentle detachment might look like allowing a friend to make their own decisions, even if we worry about the outcome, or supporting a loved one through a difficult time without feeling personally responsible for their healing. It means recognizing that we cannot protect others from every pain, nor can we guarantee their happiness, no matter how deeply we care. Instead, we learn to be a steady, compassionate presence, a safe harbor rather than a rescuer. Through gentle detachment, we cultivate inner peace and protect our energy, which ultimately allows us to show up more fully and lovingly in our relationships. We begin to understand that true love is spacious and liberating, not possessive or controlling. We can offer our heart without expecting anything in return, and in doing so, we experience a deeper sense of connection and freedom. This practice of non-attachment does not mean we withdraw from life or relationships. Rather, it encourages us to engage with greater clarity, authenticity, and openness. As we embody this wisdom, we find that our relationships become more resilient and harmonious, as they are no longer weighed down by unspoken expectations or silent demands. We become more present, more accepting, and more at peace, allowing love to arise naturally and flow without obstruction. By embracing gentle detachment, we honor both our own journey and the journeys of those around us, creating a space where true compassion and deep spiritual growth can flourish. Let this reflection remind you that love rooted in freedom is the purest form of love, and gentle detachment is a profound expression of that love in its most mindful and compassionate form. Now, let us gently move to our second insight: why setting firm boundaries is truly a form of self-love, and how this practice is essential for inner peace and spiritual growth. In a world that often celebrates endless availability and constant sacrifice, many people misunderstand boundaries, seeing them as walls that push others away. But in Buddhist wisdom, boundaries are not acts of rejection, they are profound acts of kindness toward ourselves and those around us. They help us protect our mental and emotional space so we can give from a place of fullness rather than depletion. Imagine, for a moment, a woman named Emma, a dedicated nurse and mother living in a busy city. Emma loved helping others, always offering to cover extra shifts at work, volunteering for every school activity, and saying yes to every friend who needed support. She believed that to be kind and compassionate meant to never say no. Over time, Emma found herself exhausted, waking up each morning with a heavy heart and a mind clouded by resentment. One day, after yet another late-night call from a friend in crisis, Emma realized she had no energy left for herself or her family. She remembered a teaching she had once read from the Buddha: "You, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." These words struck her deeply. Emma began to reflect on her patterns and saw how her constant yes was not truly kindness but a fear of being seen as selfish or unworthy. Slowly, she started setting small boundaries, like saying no to extra shifts when she felt tired and reserving quiet evenings for her own rest and meditation. Though it felt uncomfortable at first, she soon noticed her energy returning and her heart opening in a new, genuine way. Her relationships improved as she became more present and less resentful, and her children saw a mother who valued herself as much as she valued them. Emma's story beautifully illustrates that boundaries are not about shutting out love but about creating the conditions where true love can flourish. When we set firm boundaries, we honor our needs and respect our limits, allowing us to act from a place of authenticity rather than obligation. We begin to understand that each time we say yes to something that drains us, we say no to something that nourishes us. Boundaries help us discern where our energy is most needed and when it is time to retreat and replenish. In Buddhist practice, this is closely related to the principle of right effort, part of the Noble Eightfold Path, which teaches us to direct our energy wisely and avoid actions that lead to suffering. By embracing boundaries, we also release the deep-seated fear of disappointing others. We learn that our worth is not measured by how much we sacrifice but by how mindfully we live. Boundaries teach others how to respect us and invite them to take responsibility for their own emotions and needs. They also help us cultivate deeper, more honest connections, as people come to trust our words and know that when we say yes, it comes from a place of true willingness and love. This clarity enriches our relationships, transforming them into spaces of mutual respect and growth rather than silent resentment and hidden exhaustion. By practicing the art of boundary setting, we cultivate a sanctuary within ourselves, a place of stillness, strength, and compassion. We learn to protect this sanctuary not out of selfishness but because it is sacred. As the Buddha gently reminded us, caring for our own mind and heart is the foundation upon which we can offer genuine kindness to the world. Let us remember that every compassionate no creates space for a more sincere yes. Through this mindful practice, we discover the deep joy and freedom that arise when we live in harmony with our true needs and values. May this reflection encourage you to listen deeply to your own heart and honor the quiet wisdom it holds. Moving to our third reflection, let us explore the secret to handling energy-draining people without guilt, a challenge many of us face but seldom know how to address with mindfulness and compassion. In Buddhist wisdom, we are reminded that true compassion does not mean allowing ourselves to be endlessly depleted by the needs of others. Instead, it means recognizing our limits and protecting our peace of mind so that we can continue to offer kindness without resentment. Many of us encounter individuals who constantly lean on us for emotional support, who share their struggles repeatedly without seeking solutions, or who bring negativity and drama into every interaction. We may feel obligated to always listen, to always be available, and to always provide comfort, fearing that setting limits makes us unkind. But the Buddha taught that we must first care for our own minds and hearts, for without a stable inner foundation, we cannot truly help anyone else. Consider the story of Michael, a gentle and caring man from California, who found himself caught in an exhausting cycle with his longtime friend, Tom. Tom would call Michael late at night, complaining about work, relationships, and his general dissatisfaction with life. Michael, wanting to be a good friend, would listen patiently for hours, offering advice and encouragement, even sacrificing his sleep and peace. Over time, Michael noticed that these conversations left him drained and anxious, unable to focus on his own well-being or enjoy time with his family. One evening, after another long call that ended with Tom feeling the same and Michael feeling worse, Michael remembered the Buddha's words, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." Inspired by this, Michael decided to lovingly shift his approach. He began setting gentle limits, such as ending calls after a reasonable time and encouraging Tom to seek professional help or explore mindfulness practices. At first, Tom resisted and accused Michael of not caring, but with patience and clarity, Michael stood firm. Eventually, Tom began to find his own strength, and Michael reclaimed his energy and peace. This story beautifully illustrates that protecting our energy is not an act of rejection but an act of wise compassion. When we allow ourselves to be endlessly drained, we become resentful and depleted, ultimately offering less true support. Instead, by setting compassionate boundaries, we honor both our own needs and the growth of the other person. In practical terms, this might mean politely excusing ourselves from endless complaining sessions, limiting how often we engage in draining conversations, or redirecting a friend toward solutions rather than staying stuck in their problems. It also means learning to let go of the guilt that often arises when we prioritize our well-being. We must remember that each person is responsible for their own happiness and healing, and our role is to support, not to save. The Buddha emphasized the importance of mindful speech and skillful means, which includes knowing when our words and presence are truly helpful and when they only enable unhealthy patterns. By protecting our energy, we preserve our ability to offer genuine compassion when it is most needed, rather than becoming an emotional dumping ground. As we practice this wisdom, we develop greater clarity, stronger inner boundaries, and a deeper sense of freedom. Our relationships shift from dependency and exhaustion to mutual respect and authentic connection. We become more present, more loving, and more at peace, embodying the calm strength of a still lake rather than the turbulent waves of endless obligation. Let this reflection encourage you to see that handling energy-draining people without guilt is not only possible but essential for your spiritual growth and peace of mind. By embracing this mindful practice, you create space for deeper joy and true compassion to arise naturally in your heart and life. Now, let us turn to our fourth reflection and explore how solitude can bring clarity, happiness, and true contentment, a topic often misunderstood in a world that praises constant connectivity, endless activity, and external validation. In Buddhist wisdom, solitude is not seen as loneliness or isolation but as a precious opportunity to return home to ourselves, to deeply listen to the quiet voice within, and to nurture the roots of our own inner peace. In the fast-paced rhythms of modern life, we are constantly pulled outward by demands, distractions, and the noise of social expectations, leaving little room to simply breathe and reconnect with our essence. The Buddha himself spent long periods in solitude, sitting under the Bodhi tree, reflecting deeply on the nature of suffering and the path to liberation. He taught that only by turning inward can we truly see the workings of our own mind and uncover the attachments and illusions that keep us bound to dissatisfaction and restlessness. Solitude is the fertile ground where mindfulness blossoms, where we can observe our thoughts without judgment and feel the gentle flow of our breath without interference. When we embrace solitude, we free ourselves from the endless chase for external approval and the pressure to fulfill everyone else's expectations. We begin to discover that our worth and happiness do not depend on constant doing or on being needed by others but arise naturally from within, like a lotus blooming untouched by the muddy waters below. In moments of solitude, we can practice meditation, mindful breathing, and quiet contemplation, allowing the mind to settle and the heart to open. Even spending a few minutes each day sitting in silence can bring profound clarity and restore a deep sense of balance and calm. Solitude also allows us to become intimate with our true feelings and needs, to hear the subtle whispers of intuition that are so often drowned out by external noise. We learn to distinguish between genuine desires and conditioned impulses, making choices that align with our deepest values rather than fleeting whims or fears. Through this practice, we cultivate self-reliance and inner strength, realizing that we are already complete and whole just as we are. We find courage to say no when necessary and to honor our need for rest, reflection, and renewal. By making solitude a cherished part of our lives, we transform it from something to fear into a sanctuary of joy and discovery. We stop fearing being alone and instead learn to savor it as a sacred space where true contentment resides. This peaceful foundation then flows naturally into our interactions with others, allowing us to engage from a place of fullness rather than depletion, to offer love freely without losing ourselves in the process. Solitude becomes not a retreat from life but a profound way to deepen our connection with it, to see clearly and live more authentically. May this reflection inspire you to embrace solitude as a beautiful, essential companion on your journey toward inner peace, spiritual growth, and lasting happiness. Finally, let us arrive at our fifth and final reflection: the wisdom of the Dalai Lama, Lao Tzu, and Buddhist teachings, a gentle guiding light for anyone seeking emotional clarity, spiritual growth, and true peace of mind. In this modern world filled with noise, stress, and endless desires, these teachings remind us of the timeless truths that help us navigate life with grace and compassion. The Dalai Lama often emphasizes that the ultimate source of happiness lies within our own mind and heart, not in external circumstances or material achievements. He teaches us to cultivate compassion, loving kindness, and a sense of universal responsibility, encouraging us to see every being as deserving of love and respect. This wisdom calls us to live beyond the narrow confines of self-centered thinking and to develop a deeper sense of connection with all of life. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese sage and founder of Taoism, complements this beautifully with his philosophy of effortless action, or Wu Wei, which means to move in harmony with the natural flow rather than forcing outcomes or resisting what is. His teachings urge us to embrace simplicity, humility, and patience, to trust in the unfolding of life instead of becoming entangled in endless striving and comparison. When we embody these qualities, we begin to experience a profound ease and softness in our lives, a quiet joy that comes from simply being rather than constantly doing. Buddhist teachings further expand on these ideas through the principles of non-attachment, mindfulness, and the Eightfold Path. Non-attachment is not about rejecting the world but about engaging fully without clinging, understanding that all things are impermanent and that true peace arises when we release our grip on expectations and outcomes. Mindfulness teaches us to return to the present moment, to breathe deeply and observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It helps us see clearly, act wisely, and respond with compassion instead of reacting out of habit or fear. The Eightfold Path, often described as the middle way, offers a practical guide for ethical and mental development, including right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Following this path gradually transforms our mind and heart, leading us toward liberation from suffering and the realization of our innate wisdom. By integrating the insights of the Dalai Lama, Lao Tzu, and the Buddha into our daily lives, we cultivate a gentle strength that allows us to remain steady amidst the storms of life. We learn to listen deeply, speak truthfully, act with kindness, and rest in the natural rhythms of existence. We come to see that real power is not found in domination or control but in the quiet confidence that arises from self-understanding and inner peace. We discover that true freedom is not about escaping responsibilities or avoiding pain but about embracing all experiences with openness and equanimity. These teachings also remind us to approach ourselves with tenderness, to forgive our mistakes, and to patiently nurture our growth without harsh criticism or impatience. As we continue on this path, we realize that happiness is not a distant destination to be chased but a gentle presence available in each mindful breath and each compassionate act. By embodying these timeless principles, we create a life that radiates peace, inspires others, and supports the collective awakening of all beings. We learn to balance our relationships, protect our energy, set healthy boundaries, and cherish solitude as a sacred space for renewal and insight. In this way, the wisdom of these great teachers serves as a luminous thread weaving through every aspect of our lives, guiding us back to the simple, quiet truth of our own heart. May this reflection inspire you to integrate these teachings into your own journey, to walk with greater awareness and compassion, and to discover the deep well of joy and serenity that lies within you. Let each day become an opportunity to practice kindness, embrace stillness, and celebrate the precious gift of being alive in this very moment. As we reach the conclusion of this thoughtful journey together, it is important to take a moment to gently reflect on all that we have uncovered, honored, and embraced in the course of this exploration. The gentle yet powerful lessons on how saying yes too often can quietly steal our peace of mind, the freeing strength found in gentle detachment, the deep self-love embedded in setting firm boundaries, the clarity and contentment that arise through solitude, and the timeless wisdom of the Dalai Lama, Lao Tzu, and Buddhist teachings guiding us toward a life of mindfulness, balance, and compassion. This path is not one of rigid rules or harsh judgments, but one of kindness, patience, and self-discovery. It invites us to observe our lives with an open heart, learning to honor our own needs and emotions with the same compassion we extend to others. In this mindful living, we find the courage to say no when our heart whispers that it is needed, recognizing that this simple act is an essential form of self-respect and a necessary step toward genuine happiness. We learn to protect our energy without guilt, understanding that caring for ourselves is not selfish but foundational to being able to offer true kindness and presence to the world. Embracing solitude becomes a sacred practice, a sanctuary where clarity and joy can arise naturally from the stillness within. Here, in these quiet moments, we reconnect with our true nature, a nature that is whole, peaceful, and free from the constant noise of obligation and distraction. The teachings of the Dalai Lama remind us that happiness is found not in external conditions but within the heart, through compassion and loving kindness toward all beings, including ourselves. Lao Tzu's wisdom gently encourages us to flow with life's natural rhythms, to release resistance, and to trust in the unfolding of our journey with humility and grace. The Buddha's timeless guidance on mindfulness, non-attachment, and the Eightfold Path offers a practical and profound framework to live with awareness and purpose, cultivating the inner freedom that leads to lasting peace. As we integrate these teachings into our daily lives, we transform not only our own experience but also our relationships, communities, and the world around us. By choosing to live mindfully, we become beacons of calm and compassion, inspiring others to find their own path to joy and serenity. Now, as we close this reflection, I warmly invite you to become an active part of this mindful community. Please take a moment to share your thoughts, experiences, and reflections in the comments below. How has learning to say no changed your relationships or your sense of peace? What has solitude revealed to you about your inner world? Have you found gentle detachment or boundary setting helpful in protecting your energy and nurturing your well-being? Your voice is important here. Your stories and insights have the power to uplift and inspire others who may be walking similar paths. This is a space of support and shared growth where we can all learn from each other's journeys. If this video has resonated with you, I encourage you to subscribe to Mindful Pathway Media so that we may continue exploring these deep and meaningful topics together. By subscribing, you join a growing community committed to living with awareness, kindness, and wisdom. Sharing this video with friends, family, or anyone who might benefit from these teachings is another wonderful way to spread mindfulness and compassion far and wide. Remember, each small action, each mindful choice, ripples outward, creating waves of peace and understanding in the world. Thank you for your openness, your presence, and your willingness to walk this mindful path alongside us. May you carry these teachings gently in your heart, allowing them to guide your steps with clarity, strength, and grace. May you find in each day new opportunities for growth, healing, and joy. And may the peace that arises from living mindfully fill your life with profound happiness and fulfillment, lighting the way not only for yourself but for all beings around you.